John Wright. I'm the Divisional Director for Humanities and Social Sciences, and Jamie Patel is Head of Business, and Gavin Banks is Head of Economics. So if you have any questions for either economics or business, please type them into chat. I'm going to moderate and ask Jamie or Gavin or both of them to answer your questions, so please just type into chat. And we've already got a question from Mariana, which I'll put to Jamie, which is, what is the difference between business A-level and business BTEC?
Thanks, John. Hi, Mariana. It's a question that crops up time and time again. The key difference is the way in which the two courses are assessed. So the BTEC business has a small element of coursework, although the new BTECs have more exam-based units. And the other key difference is there are now a narrower range of topics that will be covered. So in A-level, for instance, you will be covering all of the operations management, you'll be looking at strategy, international trade. Those are elements that are not covered by the BTEC, but the key difference is actually in the way they're assessed. If a student is almost worried by examinations or is anxious going into a traditional examination, then perhaps the BTEC is a better route because there is some coursework, although you don't avoid exams altogether.
Thanks, Jamie. Deb, thank you for your question. You're asking, is there a lot of essay writing in economics? Gavin.
Hi there, thank you, Deb, for your question. For economics, I would say there's approximately 85% is essay-based and 15% is numeracy-based. So there is quite a lot of essays. We've got 3 papers at the end of the course. They take 2 hours each. So you're looking at approximately writing at least 4.5 hours of essays in an exam overall. So yeah, very much essay-based for A-level economics.
Thanks, Gavin. You again. How useful is maths with economics A-level, asks Hayden.
Hi there, Aidan. Thank you for your question. So when it comes to maths is really interesting because we recommend that students are extremely good at maths to do economics in general. For the A-level, the maths content difficulty isn't necessarily difficult to get on with it, but if you wanted to do economics afterwards in university, most universities will be expecting a high level of maths. So therefore, we recommend that if you were to do A-levels economics, we recommend that you definitely go alongside and investigate doing A-level maths at the same time, because if you want to take your economics any further, you definitely need some maths content in there. A lot of university choices will be expecting a maths A-level alongside an economics A-level if you're to pursue this particular subject area.
Thanks, Gavin. And you again, how much reading is involved in economics and what sort of books will I have to read, or will the course be textbook based? That's what Joseph is asking.
Thank you, Joseph. Yeah, good question again. So for reading, I would recommend that, yes, there is a textbook. The textbook is quite substantial. I think the last time I counted, it was over 600 pages of very small font text. So there's a lot of reading. Also, outside of the textbook itself, there are lots of handouts, lots of coursework books to use, lots of workbooks, and also students are expected to be reading up on the news, reading newspapers like the Financial Times or the Economist magazine, and to be very involved in looking at using reading as their preferred method of learning for themselves and independent learning.
Right, thanks, Gavin. Now, this is an interesting question. So, Jamie, I'm going to come to you. Which of the two subjects, economics and business, is easier or less academic? And that's asked by Darren.
Okay, Darren, hi there. This question is also asked quite often. And I guess my answer is you're not looking at it in the right way. It's not about which one is easier. They're both difficult, depending on the kind of character and the talents of the individual student. In both of them, you're going to have to write considerable amounts of essays, a lot more numerical work, possibly slightly more in business. Whereas in economics, you'll be looking at data and analysing that in far more depth and drawing graphs more often. They are both difficult if a student finds essay writing and numerical work difficult, because they're going to have to respond to questions, answer questions through an essay and support it with use of data correctly or use of calculations. So I hope that answers your question.
And then Stuart asked Jamie again, what's the pass rate at A-level for business?
Okay, very high, just over 99% this year, and this was the first year where we had examinations rather than on teacher assessed grades.
Thanks, Jamie. Oscar wants to know, Gavin, what are the core topics covered in A-level economics?
Okay, so for economics, we split the course into two halves. The first half is micro and the second half is macro. So micro, we're looking at things like individual decisions made by firms, individual decisions made by consumers and government. So we're looking at how markets work on a specific basis and drilling right down onto the actual fine detail of how demand, supply and prices are struck and decisions are made. And then on the macro side, the other half of the course, we look at more things like international and national economics. So things like inflation, unemployment, those kind of topics will be discussed in first year. And then in second year, we look at more of a globalization, international kind of trade, international flows of money, balance of payments ideas. So we'll basically build from first day all the way to the second year is built up in kind of like building blocks attempt. And so you do micro and macro in both years for both halves of the year.
Thank you, Gavin. Now, Catherine, I'm really grateful for this next question because it's one I think we've been expecting, but it's good that you've asked it. What are the key differences between economics and business? And Catherine says, I've been told that business is more maths based and economics is more reading and writing. So Jamie, what do you think?
Okay, I'll start off and Gavin, I'm sure will sort of come in and help me out here. The key difference is it's not that business is more maths based, although there are more numerical techniques on the specification. So you will be, particularly in the second year, it's not just fractions and percentage changes, but you will be looking at investment appraisal techniques, critical path analysis, decision trees, sales forecasting, moving averages, and so on. And you would be expected to do the calculations and use your answers to support an essay-based response. In economics, you are going to have to use maths because you are going to have to analyse data. You will have a look at percentage changes. You will be doing index numbers just as you would in business. Both, I would imagine, have an equal amount of essay writing and reading of extracts and data to build evidence within an essay response.
Yeah, totally agree. It's going to be a similar amount of writing, a lot of interrogation of data, using context, using examples from the real world, and trying to analyze specifically how it works and how it doesn't work. So yeah, I would say the maths content is not the big idea when it comes to economics at A level, but the maths content, if you were to go forward into a degree, as I've said before, a degree in economics looks a lot more like a maths degree with some economics data tagged on, rather than an economics degree in the old sense where you do more essay based. So these days, 95% of economics degrees are highly mathematical. And so a student will need to be good at maths to progress further. But for the A level, as we keep saying, it's essay based and interrogation of data and more basic maths. But at the same time, you need to be able to use the maths effectively in an essay based scenario.
Just a couple of things I'd just like to add. It's possible to do business and economics A level together, and that's not a problem at all. But you can't do business A level and business BTEC together. I think that's really important to say. If you're thinking about going on to do economics at university, just check, because there are a few universities that like you to have A level maths as well. I think that's quite important to say. So our next question is from Robert, which says, for business, is there a specific GCSE you need to obtain and at what grade?
Thank you for your question, Robert. Yes, we would like to have students with good grades, sound grounding, if you like, in English language, literature, and another essay-based subject, possibly history or even geography. Maths GCSE is also really important because you'll be doing number crunching on the A-level business every single lesson. And it's not maths as such, it's low-level numeracy. So if you just think about the course, it's all about businesses and how they try and achieve their overall objective, which is to make a profit. Therefore, you will have to discuss within answers whether the profit is derived from high levels of sales or very high prices or low variable costs or fixed costs. But I would say that if you're planning on doing an A-level set of subjects, 3 A-levels, then really to try and future-proof yourself, you really need to have 6s and 7s as a minimum across a wide range of GCSEs, preferably essay-based and science. With the BTEC business, You'd still need a good GCSE maths together with English, because you will be doing some essay writing, you'll be doing report writing. But one of the the mandatory unit is personal and business finance. So there's a lot of calculation and essay writing within that paper. It's an examination on the BTEC as well.
Yeah, that answers Jordan's question about what grades you need to do BTEC business.
Yeah, thank you, Jordan, for your question. Again, same entry requirements that the college has, although I would strongly urge students to have a good grade in GCSE English, language, literature, maths, as well as another essay-based subject, because the new BTECs are far more rigorous, far more challenging, and you haven't got the option of just doing coursework and improving coursework as a route to getting a high grade.
The next question is quite an important one. It's from Toby. Is it required to have done GCSE business if you want to do business A level?
Definitely not. As I've been saying a few times here, a good set of GCSEs across essay-based subjects, maths and science, are far more important. If you have, however, taken GCSE business, you'd be expected to get a 6 or 7 or more, even though the college entry requirement says a 4 at a minimum. That is the very minimum. And the problem, in my view, it's my personal view, of that particular entry requirement of 4s is that it is the very bare minimum. You'll struggle as a student to cope with the demands of A level or BTEC, and you may not get the high grades that you're anticipating.
Okay, thanks, Jamie. Gavin, we've touched on this. Do you need maths in order to do A level economics? And if you want to do economics at university, would you need to do maths?
Yeah, so maths, you definitely need to pass your maths at GCSE to do the A level. And if you want to do a university degree, then, as I said, 95% of universities out there will be looking for either a very high grade GCSE maths score or an A level maths score as well. So, like for example, down the road from us here in University of Surrey, the minimum requirement is to get onto the economics degree course is an A star in maths, A level, and an A in 2 other subjects. So that may be economics, it may not even be economics to go and do the degree down there. So this is like a standard kind of Russell Group, ask these days. So therefore, I would say yes, maths is super important. If you're going to do economics at A level, I highly recommend students do maths alongside it. You don't have to, but it's a strong recommendation.
Okay, I think Marianne's question we've answered, but sort of we'll just do it again just in case anyone didn't hear it the first time. Is there a minimum GCSE grade in certain subjects to be able to do business?
Marianne, I think for a student to do well in A level or BTEC business, and in fact in economics, a strong set of GCSEs is the key, because you want to, as a student, feel confident and reassured that you can cope with the difficulty and the jump that has to be made between GCSE and A level. So I would strongly urge students to aim for at least a 6 in English language, English literature, history, maths, geography, and possibly even a science. It just makes it easier for you to make the transition as a student from GCSE to A level, because the work is very demanding at A level.
Thanks, Jamie. Then Robert just wants to know, how big are the classes typically in business?
Good question, Robert. Roughly 18 to 21 in each of the blocks. We've got 9 classes. It literally depends, but a reasonable size.
So, Gavin, if a student did both business and economics A level, would there be much overlap?
The overlap is, there is a little bit of overlap, but not enough for exam boards to be worried. So there's no problem taking economics and business as 2 A levels alongside each other. And what I would say is, if you're looking at universities, you want to look at what requirements they specifically ask for each of their courses. But 9 times out of 10, doing business alongside economics A level will be totally acceptable for the majority of courses. The overlap is relatively minimal. The 2 subjects are highly related, but they are very different and very discretely different.
Okay, an interesting question here from Kaisen, I pronounced your name right. So do the students with the highest grades at GCSE have the highest likelihood of being given the course? Jamie?
Okay, the answer is no. It's literally a first come, first served basis, as long as the student has the right entry qualifications. I just like to stress again the importance of getting high grades at GCSE, and the reason for that is that a number of my students, and Gavin is in the same position in the second year, who are applying for university courses for a range of different courses, maybe pure economics or economics and management or economics and finance or business and international business. The key message that seems to be coming through is universities are really asking for quite high GCSE grades before they even look at the A-level grades. So for one example I've got is one of my students is applying to Birmingham University wanting to do a particular course, and the specification is not just the AAB at A-level, but a grade 7 in GCSE maths. So you really have to do your homework on this one.
Yeah, I think that's really important advice. Andrew, your question has already been answered, but I'll just answer it again just in case. The top size of the group here is 22. It shouldn't go beyond that. And as Jamie said earlier on, typically in economics and business, the groups will be between 18 and 21 students. But Esther has asked a really good question. If we don't take A-level maths, if you don't plan to take economics at university, will this be a problem? So that's one question, Gavin. And then how do the students do their graphs for macro and micro, by hand or by electronic tool?
Okay, so the first question, do you need to do maths and economics? Well, no, you can do other subjects, obviously, and A-level economics can be one of your 3 subjects. And if maths isn't one of them, that's perfectly fine. You go and do anything you like afterwards, degree-wise, make your own choices. What I'm recommending is that if you are to think about economics as the route you want to take, then you want to very carefully consider taking maths alongside it. And if you're not going to go down that road and you want to just do economics A-level for its own self, which is totally perfectly fine, I would say then yes, absolutely take economics. And we do have a good number of students who don't take maths A-level here, and they'll go off and become geographers or do some other degree somewhere else, maybe even sciences. And so there's lots of options open to us at the moment, and that's what I'd say. Just follow what you're good at, follow what you enjoy. And if you want to try economics and see how you go, absolutely no problem. Let's have a go at it and see how you go. Absolutely no problem.
Yeah, just to add, Gavin, one of my best students at the moment is doing history, economics and politics, just to sort of give you an idea.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, PPE is also quite highly sought after as a degree, and you don't necessarily need mathematics to get onto those thought subjects. And the other question?
The other question was, how do the students do their graphs for micro and macroeconomics? Is it by hand or by electronic tool?
Yeah, by hand in general, unless you've got specific access requirements and you need to use electronic tools. All the graphs will be on paper. Yeah, you write them by hand.
Jamie, great question from Maria. What do business BTEC lessons look like?
Hi Maria. It depends on which unit is being covered. So for example, the first unit that students will cover when they join the course is exploring business. That will involve in the initial stages what we would see as a traditional lesson where you would have all of the content delivered, looking at business objectives, mission statements, looking at strategy, for instance. But then you are set an assignment and you're given guidance on the research that you can do and some guidance on how to write your assignment. So that's one possibility. The other is, for example, in the second year, the first unit that's covered is personal and business finance. And for that, it would be very traditional. You'd be covering a lot of theory. The teacher would teach you what a statement of comprehensive income looks like, or financial position, would go through the financial ratios. You'd be doing a worksheet on it. You might then investigate some company accounts and try and draw out some ratio analysis from that. So it's really dependent on which unit you're covering.
Okay, Alan, I'll just answer your question quickly. Can you take both economics and business at A-level? Yes, you can. Philippe has asked, what's the percentage of A's or A stars for economics and business?
For economics, last year we got 14% of our students got an A star.
Roughly about 9 for business.
And that's above the national average in both subjects. I think that's quite important to say. Now, Chris and other people obviously want this as well. Jamie, could you do a quick pitch why business is an interesting topic? And then Gavin, if I ask you to do the same.
Well, they're taught by us.
Yes,
but really, in all seriousness, what's really interesting is both the subjects are actually relevant to students going on into the future, whether that's university degree, apprenticeships, and eventually a career path in an organisation, or even if they set up their own business. And in terms of the lesson, we obviously deliver using a range of different methods. But what students really like is their ability to relate business news or economics news to theory. So that theory isn't just taught in isolation. They explore how it applies in reality and use it to actually criticise whether in reality these theories are fit for purpose, if you like. So if we're teaching about Ansov's matrix in A-level business and we talk about market penetration or market development, we then relate it to different companies who followed those strategies and whether those strategies have worked in those instances. And similarly, at the moment, the cost of living crisis is very important. And in economics, you'd be exploring interest rates and the implication of increasing base rates on very many aspects of the economy.
Oh, you stole my thunder. That's a big one, excellent. Yeah, no, well, it's the same in business and economics. There's so much current affairs stuff going on at the moment that's super interesting and relates really very well to our course. For example, at the moment, I'm teaching a topic in second year called exchange rates, and we're looking at how the impact on exchange rates will impact different businesses. And we're also looking therefore what will actually impact exchange rates. And at the moment, things like, the tightening cycle from the central bank is very important. And the fact that they're reversing the quantitative easing, which the money supply was increasing, and now it's being decreased. And at the same time, now there's hints and leaks from number 11 Downing Street that there's going to be lots of tightening on the fiscal side. So it looks like taxes are going to go up possibly next week in the budget. Maybe government spending will go down. All these things are super interesting to us as economists to figure out, is the policies that are being put in place by these so-called, elected officials, are they actually doing a good job? Will they do damage to the economy? Will they help us in the long run or the short run? All these things are happening right now and currently impacting us directly. And I think we'll see it unfolding over the next few months and years. The idea that using economics and business ideas to analyze what's going on will give you a massive, leg up on the job market, being able to understand what's going on, interpret what's happening, and able to explain, understand, and basically cope with what's going on in the real world. So a very, very kind of useful kind of use of current affairs, very topical stuff. Like there's a lot of interesting things happening in the world. We even have a COP27 summit going on. So this is like the globalization impacts, the environmental impacts of economic and business decisions are all happening around us all the time. So yeah, it's super interesting time to be an economist or a business student. So I would say, yeah, very, I obviously love my subjects. I know, Jenny, you love yours. So you've got passionate teachers, a great department, and students here do extremely well and always beat the national average.
Yeah, so I'm going to pack in as many questions as I can in the little time we've got left. There's a good question from Robert about, is there work experience in business? The answer to that is not directly in the course, but there is an opportunity in the summer term for all first year students to do work experience through the college. And if you wanted to do business work experience, our progression guidance department would help with that. Is there a project on business A level? No, because it has no coursework. But if you wanted to go into more depth about it, you could do an EPQ in your second year, which would be business related, and that's more like a dissertation. And your teachers can tell you more about that. Jamie, a question from Aruna, is business studies a good choice at A-level if you want to do management at university?
Yes, of course it is, because we cover the basic functions of business, the marketing, the finance, the operations, the people. We look at the external environment, and in the second year we look at globalisation, business strategy, why some companies get strategy right, others get it wrong, what are the factors impacting on those business decisions, and are those factors within the business's control or outside? A lot of those are covered within management courses. So yes, and you'll get the essay writing as well.
Now, I wonder who can advise Basel here. I take both economics GCSE and business BTEC at level 2. Should I take business for A level or should I take economics? What do you recommend?
In my view, take the course that interests you always, unless you have a specific path, career path that you want to follow, and there are certain entry requirements. But generally, if you want to take a course, you're doing it for the right reasons, positive reasons, you'll enjoy it and you'll be successful.
Yeah, totally agree. Same answer from me.
And the question about, is it better to take both economics and business or just one? I think it depends what else you want to do, but you can do both. That's really important. Darren says if pupils already taking, say, 2 A levels like fine art and fashion and textiles that have lots of coursework, would it be too much coursework to do the business BTEC as well? And in that situation, would it be better to do A level?
No is the answer, because the BTEC business coursework is still a minimum amount. It's more examination based, so 60% of your grade is based on external examination. So there might be pinch points during the year, but that you can manage with the help of your teachers. I would imagine that the other 2 subjects will have more of a difficulty in managing of workload, actually.
Sarah, the example for both business BTEC and business A level, and for economics as well, is Pearson or Excel. Yeah. Question for you, Jenny. Would I do a project in BTEC business, and could you give an example of previous projects? I guess what you're meaning is the kind of the non-examined units.
Yes, so on the non-examined unit, it's actually on recruitment and selection. So it's not necessarily project based, but it's very valuable because it's a simulation of you applying for a job, and you take the role of an interviewee as well as an interviewer. And so therefore that's how that particular unit works. The others are more traditional in their approach.
Lynn asked a great question. How many hours a week would the 2 A level courses and the BTEC actually take, or normally take?
Right, so in terms of taught lessons, each lesson is 65 minutes in length, and you get 4 of those in the week. And then we like to ask students to make up a full 10 hours per week per subject. And that's made up of maybe research, keeping up with business news, some revision work, preparatory work, other homework. So it's a manageable amount because you have private study periods that can contribute to covering that workload.
Yep, same for us.
Okay, Anna's asked the question, would taking 4 or 5 A levels be too difficult? No one here takes 5 A levels. Taking 4 A levels, there is no requirement to do it. Universities only want 3 grades from you at A level. A small number of students take 4 A levels because they often can't decide between the humanities and the sciences. If you really want to do 4, you can, but you would need 7s in your GCSEs, an average of 7s. So I think you're fine doing 3 personally, but sort of, it's a choice for you, which you can make when you enroll in the college. What boroughs are in the catchment area? Quite a lot. Richmond, Kingston, Merton, also obviously Surrey. They're the main 4, but we get students from Hounslow, from Ealing, from other boroughs as well. I think the students in the college, I understand, from 183 different schools. That will give you the idea. Does history A level help with economics, Gavin?
Does
history A level help with economics?
I would say they go very well together as subjects. They're very complementary. I think we have a whole school of economic thought that's come from historical insights, and I would say that there's a lot of beautiful kind of like synergies between the 2 subjects, both essay based and both using analysis and application in the real world, historically and currently. So I'd say they go very well together, and a lot of students really do those 2 subjects will do extremely well.
Okay, Matthias says, when do we get an answer on the courses we can take following our wish list? I guess what you mean, Matthias, is the courses you put down that you'd like to study here. When you get your interview, which if you haven't already, some of you might have done, you will soon. And the teacher who interviews you will help you choose which of the 3 courses that you should be doing. And you'll be able to sort of rethink it if you don't do very well in the GCSE or you do better than you expect next year when you actually enroll in the college. That's not a big problem. First come, first served, it really is like that. So, but most people do get onto the courses they want. We have waiting lists if you don't. So I think what Jamie meant was, if you enroll on day 1, you'll be enrolled on business or economics, regardless if you've met the entry requirements. And teachers are here to advise you. So don't worry about that. And I think other groups that were sort of here, how many groups are there in economics, Gavin?
We've got 6 groups in each year group.
So there you go, quite a few. So there's plenty of room to do it. I think we've answered, I think coursework, there's no coursework in business or economics, is there?
No.
BTEC obviously.
No coursework.
Yeah, that's right. BTEC, there are some non-examined units, which I suppose we could say is a bit like coursework. I think we've answered all the questions. Obviously, this has been recorded, so some of the questions about grades, we have answered those, so you'll be able to get those if you want to play the recording back. But if there is a question that we've not answered for you, please write in and Jay or somebody else will answer those questions for you. So thank you very much for joining us. Thank you to Jamie and Gavin for answering the questions. And you can now make your way on to some of the other sessions that are happening. So thanks again and good night, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.